Good late morning. Good late morning, folks. Hopping on, doing what I do. Final episode of the year of tackling turnover with teamwork. We're about to get into quite a bit here. There was a lot of football consumed on my end, and there's a lot I got to get to. A lot of great examples about what we could be learning from the game. Again, one of my superpowers is actually figuring that stuff out. All right. YouTube, what's up? What's up, YouTube? We good on YouTube. Let me go check LinkedIn. Go live. LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. It's what we do, baby. All right. LinkedIn, what's up? LinkedIn, what's up? Welcome. Shout yourself out if you are in the chat. I know it's a different time than normal. LinkedIn, we're good. Let me go check Facebook real quick to make sure we are straight on Facebook Live, full effect. Let me go check Facebook real quick to make sure all right, we're here. Welcome, folks. You see what the thumbnail is. You see what we're talking today. You see what we're talking today. Good afternoon to everyone. If it's first time tuning into my work, first time ever seeing this face, your boy, the name Aswan Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time published author and educator. And what I do, what I've created, what you see right here on my shirt, what you see right here on the screen, what this entire whole Move Swiftly brand, the whole Move Swiftly framework, everything is Move Swiftly around here. What you see is basically me I built a business, built an organization, built a lifestyle in which you take the lessons that I learned, in which I take the lessons that I learned from the football field, particularly the teamwork lessons, and we apply them to businesses. So business owners have efficient teams, have a group of employees, a staff that is moving like a cohesive team and moving very similar to a championship football team, particularly a high school championship football team, because at the high school level, there isn't any much added agenda. There's people playing for the community. It's young kids, most of them not going to go on to play in college or anything like that. They're just happy to be playing for their school, for their community, for their family, in front of their family, and all that kind of stuff. So I take those lessons and apply them to business, which is really what we're going to dive into today. I do it every day. You could just look my name up and you'll see all the work I already have out there, the tons of the things that I've already put out there into the world, in which align with what it is I'm saying here today. I don't have to say much. Just go ahead and look me up. As far as today's topic, you guys see, we're going to be diving into the advantage of having a home field advantage. But before we get too deep into the topic, let me get through with some announcements here. First things first, West Palm Beach. If you are in the West Palm Beach area and you are interested in free boxing lessons, I do those every 2 weeks. We'll be starting the next one will be January 4th over there in Ukulele Park. Shout out to the new people who have signed up. If I haven't messaged you yet, I'll be getting to those messages soon. And if you're interested in doing it, just hit the QR code right there that you see on the screen, and I'll be in contact with you so we can, and I'll send you the dates and when we're doing it and all that kind of stuff, and we'll go from there. So that's number one. Next thing, business owners, if you have not yet, be sure to go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. That's freeguide.makeyourmove.com. What I've done is I've created 10 steps, 10 ways in which you could be using innovative teamwork right now in your business, so people are coming into your organization and they know what their particular role is, and you have a strategy. That's the big thing, is making sure you have a strategy and you have a foundation in which folks are walking into your organization. They're coming to work every day. They're coming into the office or wherever it is you do your business, and they have a purpose. They know their why. All right. I've created a free guide for you, a very easy to understand guide for you to do that. And finally, patreon.com, patreon.com/as144. If you're interested in being a part of a community, exclusive community in which we dive into these concepts a whole lot further, and you have your questions asked, and a lot as we transition into 2020-25, that's going to be my primary primary platform in which you can get in touch with me. Again, we have something for everybody, whether you're ready to come in at the preseason level, the regular season level, or the postseason level. Just contact me and we will go from there. Okay, here we are. Final episode of Tackle and Turnover with Teamwork. Final episode of the 2024 year. It has been an absolutely incredible one. I actually started doing these, say, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I got to look at the list. There's about, I think actually, I started around the time a couple weeks before the election because there was so much going on. Now, if you don't know, I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, in the DMV area. I went to school in New York, and I'm living out here now in South Florida. So as a kid, I was kind of immersed in business and in politics and in football, and all of that stuff is just swirling around where I grew up. So this election, with the amount of things that I had to comment on, with the amount of things that I had wanted to say about the election, and you had football season going on, a lot of things going on. It was just too much stuff for me to address to try to address it in one video. I used to only put out like one video a day or something like that. And then it got to the point where I was listening to other YouTubers and other internet personalities, and I saw how they were handling their business on the live streams. I'm like, oh no, you already know. I gotta brush my shoulders off and show them what I'm working with too. So, eventually I started live streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then as we get to 2025, I'm probably going to be doing it more, probably as close to every day as I possibly can, as frequently as I can. I'll be on here, talking current events, talking teamwork lessons, talking things in which major things that happen in the sports world, and applying them to business, because that's what I do. That is my superpower. That's what you are guaranteed to get when you come up into my world, in the Move Swiftly world. All right, as you see the plus LY, there's a significance in that Move Swiftly, that plus LY that you see. All right, so as far as one of the other traditions that we do around here in the Move Swiftly world is we have something called a Make Ya Move Monday. Make Ya Move Monday. Every single Monday, we have a question, a kickoff question. Make Ya Move Monday kickoff question. And because I am recording this on Make Ya Move Monday, if you guys watched the video earlier this morning, you saw what the question was. But if you didn't, I am here to reiterate it for you. Today's kickoff question, today's Make Ya Move Monday kickoff question is better viewing. What was better to look at this past weekend? All right, so this one, I'll just go ahead and answer for myself, but I'm curious if you guys are interested in participating. Just leave your answers in the chat, or just message me with the answers wherever it is you want to message me. But when it comes to better viewing, all right, what is better for the viewers? Is it college football or is it National Football League? Quote unquote pro football. That's what they call it, even though being in the NFL doesn't necessarily make you a professional. However, we do refer to it, a lot of people, it's basically commonly referred to as professional football. What was better viewing? Now, my answer personally, it's college football. College football has just been better viewing, and it could be because I'm a little bit biased towards it. I played it. I've been a part of it. I've coached high school football. I was a college scout. I played for not one but two programs, and seeing guys that are out there competing for their university, seeing young guys who are also in the midst of getting an education. Even this past Saturday, there was a lot of FCS programs on TV. There was a lot of D2 programs on TV, Division III, a lot of smaller guys. And, you got the commentators. If you were listening to the game, you heard these guys, some majoring in engineering, some of the young men who are, studying to become lawyers and about to go to law school and studying to become doctors or whatever it is they want to do in their field. To me, it's so much more of an intrigue, and it's so much more intriguing in terms of viewership to watch a college game than it is to watch an NFL game for those reasons. Now, this past weekend, obviously the games, if you're talking about the games, the actual college football games that most people watch, which was the CFP, the college football playoffs, which we're going to dive into in a second here. Obviously, those games were complete blowouts, all right? Notre Dame tapped some Indiana ass. Penn State got all up in SMU's ass. Texas, the Texas and Clemson game was actually a little closer towards the end of the game, but for the most part, Texas pretty much dominated the game. You could tell who the better team was. I don't know what's going to go out. I'm really excited to hear what the conversations are going to be like in terms of what the ACC is going to be when it comes to college football, and do we let them in? Because they sure as hell, they had 2 teams in, and they sure as hell didn't look like they deserved to be anywhere near college football. I don't know if they look like, I'm just going off the way they were represented in the college football playoffs between SMU and Clemson. They look like a conference that no longer needs to be referred to as the power conference. It's a power conference, much like the Big 12 this year. They don't need to be referred to as Power 4, all right? Between ACC and the Big 12, I don't know if you guys, maybe Arizona State can pull off an upset this weekend against who they got, Texas. Don't see happening, but it's possible that, you get the Big 12 and you get the ACC. I'm not sure if they are going to be able to call themselves one of the power conferences this offseason, especially if Texas goes to Arizona State and straight, spanks them around a little bit, then between the Big 12 and the ACC, you can't really refer to them this offseason as a power conference. You just can't, because they just didn't show any testosterone. They didn't show any fight. Again, Clemson maybe put some fight in at the end. They had the opportunities to make the game close, but for the most part, Texas really, really just dominated the game overall, right? So anyway, when it comes to I got sidetracked there. When it comes to the actual make your move kickoff question, better view, and the reason I believe it's college football, it's because of, again, although the blowouts happened, and I get it, the games weren't as competitive, and at the same time as the games are going on, you had that bad man Pat Mahomes, carving up the Texans, and you had Lamar Jackson, and the Steelers were playing the Ravens at the same time. I think it was the Clemson and Texas game in which the Steelers were playing the Ravens, so I was watching both, and you had a really compelling matchup between the Ravens and the Steelers. I get all that. If we're going off just this weekend, yes, the NFL in some instances may be better viewing. But if we're talking about just overall, if you ask me what I would rather watch, I would sit down and watch college football over NFL National Football League football. Again, I don't like referring to it as pro football as much, because being in the NFL has nothing to do with you being a professional. Being a professional has everything to do with you being a professional, actually conducting your business in a certain way, being professional. But just being in the NFL, having the title to say, oh, I coach in the NFL, or I play in the NFL, or you name the title in the NFL, that doesn't make you a professional. Being a professional, how you conduct your business, makes you a professional, which, by the way, is a conversation that I'm going to be having probably on a later date sometime next year in terms of what it actually takes to be a professional. That's probably going to be if you're listening to it, when I say next year, I mean next year is really literally only a week away. So it's not like you have to wait a whole year. I used to hate when people do that to me as well at this time of year, but it'll be a conversation that we're going to have pretty soon in terms of what makes a professional. But just being in the NFL and being in the NBA doesn't make you a professional. But anyway, so question is, and again, leave it in the chat. I'll leave it up for a second. What's better viewing? Is it college football or the NFL? You guys know my answer at this point. It's college football, because of the hunger and because of the reason and the motivation behind the people that are playing in college football versus the people who are playing in the NFL, what their motivation actually is. And as a person that's been involved with college athletics and college football, I personally just like to watch the college game. So I'll let that sink in for a second, and we're going to dive into today's topic. All right. Here we go. Home field advantage. What we saw this weekend. was a historic moment, at least speaking for myself and probably millions and millions of people who sat down and watched some college football playoffs from Friday night all the way through Saturday. At pretty much a full felt like 24 hours of college football was going on. It started out with Notre Dame straight handling business against the Indiana Hoosiers. And then the next game was Penn State just taking care of Southern SMU. Then right after that, Texas handled business against Clemson. And then the late night game on Saturday was Ohio State straight getting some get back. Some get back. And, I had if you don't know, guys, I'm a diehard Michigan fan. So I enjoyed very much winning 4 games in a row. And I've enjoyed all of the just blasting and the memes and the jokes and all. I was a part of a lot of it, to be honest with you, but I enjoyed the misery of these Ohio State fans. But in the back of my mind as a football guy, I knew I had that feeling, and I had a strong feeling that Ohio State was about to come into this game and straight bust some Tennessee ass, only because I know that feeling of losing the game. Right? I know that feeling of being made fun of. I know the feeling that these are, again, this Ohio State's got a great deal of pride, great deal of tradition. And when you spend a whole 2 weeks having to listen to social media and posts and memes and all these people who have a lot of shit to say, it was just going to be bad news for those Tennessee Volunteers. Okay. And I'm telling you, I kind of saw the writing on the wall when it comes to why Ohio State came out with such a energy, such an anger, and such a chip. Such a chip on their shoulder. They wanted to annihilate. They wanted to annihilate the Tennessee Volunteers. And you saw it in their eyes, right? You saw that hunger. You saw that anger. You saw it all over their faces. They wanted to annihilate the Tennessee Volunteers, which, again, for a good reason, came from a lot of the embarrassment that we as the Michigan Wolverines caused, a lot of the heartache, all of that stuff. So that's football. That's football. So I'm really excited to see how they perform against Oregon. They really probably won't do what they did to Tennessee. They won't be doing that to the Oregon Ducks because it's just a different animal, but it will be a very competitive game. It will be a game that, again, 1 or 2 plays here and there is going to determine the winner because, in my opinion, if we're talking about talent, if we're talking about just overall talent, those are the 2 best teams on paper. Again, it's a difference between just being talented on paper versus actually winning games and having a strong nucleus in your front 7, which is why I picked Georgia to win it all. But in terms of just talent, perimeter talent, and if you can get hot here and there, or you can you got to be susceptible. They're very much like a ticking time bomb where they can strike a big play at any moment, like a quick strike offense. Oregon and Ohio State have that type of offense to where you could blink your eye and boom, that you're down 21-0, right? So what actually happened? I'll just break down the game right now, real quick. When it comes to Ohio State and Tennessee did everything. If you go back and listen to the video I did the day before the Ohio State and Michigan game. It was like the Tuesday before. I listed 5 things that the Michigan Wolverines needed to do if they wanted to beat Ohio State. One of them was do not give up the big play, all right, which led into the other one, and which was don't lose the game in the second or the first quarter. Don't lose the game in that first half, which is what Ohio State likes to do. What happened was Ohio State went up 21-0. 2 of those touchdowns were off big plays. 2 of those, in fact, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the third one was too. It was a long run because they had given up so many big plays. Now those DBs were back. Now those DBs were moving a little further back. And then, obviously the running game started to open up because they had already opened up the passing game and stuff like that. So what Tennessee did is they ended up pretty much losing the game earlier on, with these big plays that Ohio State could strike on you at any time. And if we as Michigan, if that would have happened to us, it would have been the same result. It would have been just as bad of a loss if we would have allowed these big plays to happen. So what you needed to do, what you need to do, and anybody, I'm sure everyone out in Eugene or all the Oregon fans are listening, if you want to beat Ohio State, you cannot give up big plays, particularly at the beginning of the game. All right, you cannot do that. If you give up big plays at the beginning of the game, it's good night, lights out. You will not beat them if you allow them to play that fast-paced offense that they like to play. Now, if you turn it into a slugfest, if you turn it into one of those defensive matchups where you're not allowing Howard and Jeremiah Smith to get open, not allowing Ibuke, I think it's Ibuke, the other receiver, to come across the middle, and you're not allowing those receivers to really get off like that, you're gonna have a better chance of beating them, because they are not the type of team that's just gonna line up and be able to run the ball effectively. If you really watch the Tennessee and Ohio State game, I know the score didn't indicate this, but there were times in which, at the beginning of the game at least, in which Ohio State was trying to run the ball and they still couldn't run the ball. They still couldn't run the ball efficiently. It was only after they opened up the playbook and let a couple of them fly, and they scored on a few of them. That's when the pass started. I mean, that's when the run started opening up for them. So that's what it's all about. All right. So next thing I have to address is the Penn State and the SMU game, because I told you all. All right. 2 weeks ago, I did a whole hour-long show explaining to you all why Tyler Warren is the real Heisman. If we're talking about what the award means, all right, the award says it. It says it in the letter of I'm just going off what the Heisman Trophy is supposed to be. Never is, all right, never is. I'm not as surprised about who won it because of who he is in the skill position that he plays and his athletic ability and who his coach is and the kind of the hype that came around the courage that he displayed. If you look at Travis Hunter off the field, it was very courageous for him to not go to Florida State and decide to go to Jackson State and then transfer to Colorado with Coach Prime and all that stuff. I whenever I talk about this, I try to be as respectful as I possibly can to Travis Hunter's athletic ability. I get it. He can play, but he was not doing as many things as Tyler Warren. All right. He just doesn't do as much for their team. Same thing with the kid in Boise State, Ashton Gentry or whatever. Ashton Gentry, it is. He doesn't do as many things as Tyler Warren does for his team. All right. And the two of them, the two top Heisman voters, the two people that finished 1 and 2 in the Heisman race, they both played for weaker conferences. They didn't play in the Big Ten or the SEC. They didn't play for like a hardcore conference. As you saw this past weekend, Penn State, when they blew out SMU, it's a different conference. It's a different level of competition. And what we're most likely going to see when Penn State goes against Boise State in about a week now, we're likely going to see another blowout, because the conference, the Big Ten, is a much more solid, stronger conference. However, Boise State is a different unit. I know they played Oregon earlier this year, and they had a good game against them. That game could be a little closer than a lot of people are anticipating. But at the end of the day, I'm going to show you some clips here. From Tyler Warren that no one else is going to show you. Nobody else is going to show you what I'm getting ready to show you, because it's not something that ever is going to make the highlight reel. All right. It was late in the game. This was the last drive that Penn State had their starters in. I mean, the score is like 31-0. They straight up mollywopped the SMU ponies, or whatever, the Pony Express or something like that. I think they're the ponies or the horses or something like that. They straight up mollywopped that ass. All right. They just got all up in that ass. And it was 31-0, and the starters were in for the final drive. But this was towards the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter. And if you look at every one of these plays that I'm getting ready to show you, they're all running plays that won't make the highlight reel. But if you look at where number 44 is on every play, they're running behind him. He is their lead blocker going into every single one of these plays. And that's what allowed the running back to spring free. Again, you will not see this. You will not see this as some highlight play, but it's a big play. And it's what I mean when I say players like him do not get enough credit. They don't get enough love. They don't get enough of a look in terms of how valuable they are to an organization. Too often do we look at the highlight reels and, you know, the fancy catches and the touchdown passes and the stats and the yardage and all that other stuff that's easy to follow, but we don't pay enough attention to actual film and what's making it so folks are able to spring free and who's actually the ones that are able to make it so the highlight plays can even exist. I remember actually sitting in a film room back when I coached high school. I coached high school football for 2 seasons, and I remember Coach Anderson. Coach Anderson was the head coach, and he happened to be in his first year with the team too. I remember we were watching film against a team named Rockville. We were watching film against a team named Rockville, and I remember as we're watching it, Coach Anderson pauses it. He pauses it, and he's like, "Look, you see number 71? See number 71?" And he paused it and he was telling the boys, number 71 has switched sides on every single running play. Every single running play. Every time they're about to run the football, they switch number 71 to the side that they're about to run to. And then he made a point to the boys, and I'm making the same point to you guys. He goes, watching film isn't about the oohs and the ahs. It isn't about the highlight acrobatic catches and the one hand this and you doing this and you spiking and you striking your pose and you dance and you do. Watching film ain't about that. Watching film is really about study. They call it film study for a reason, because there are little things that a coach is going to do that's going to make it very clear to you where they're going with the ball. So I pulled up a couple clips because it was towards the end of the game, towards the end of the Penn State SMU game, when they finally, you know, this was the final drive that they had for their starters. And it was just straight run plays, smash mouth football, bang, bang, bang. Bang. And if you look at who's leading the block on every last one of these run plays, it's my Heisman winner. It's my Heisman winner, the person I picked as the Heisman. All right, the real Heisman winner, in my opinion. As you can see, I have this. I have an article. I'm standing on business. I'm not changing my opinion. This is the real Heisman winner. You see him leading the way on every last one of the run plays towards the end of the game that sealed that. I mean, the game was already decided, but this ended up being the last drive for the Stars. So watch it. I'm gonna break it down for you as we go.
Did I say Asia Wilson was the best player in the game?
You said that like a month ago.
I love them all, Roddy.
All right, before we go further, it's the bottom of your screen. Number 44 is lined up. He's lined up as a slot receiver. He's lined up as a slot receiver. There's a tight end by, position. He's lined up as a slot receiver. Watch what he's doing. Watch what he's doing to this corner on this run play. I mean, he puts his ass back. He blocks his ass all the way past the first down marker. Watch the first one.
Did I say Asia Wilson was the best player in the game?
You said that like a month ago.
I love them all, Roddy. Like Nicholas Singleton.
Speed drive, jet sweep. You got the guy coming, and you got 44 blocking. This is important stuff. Again, it's not going to make ESPN, but it's springing the running back and making it's opening up the holes and opening up the edge for the running back.
Did I say Asia Wilson was the best player in the game?
You said that like a month ago.
I love them all, Roddy. Like Nicholas Singleton has been balling out there today.
In a different way than the score.
Hand off to Katron Allen, and he's going to pick up.
I got to pause it there. Again, you saw him come across the line of scrimmage. He's the lead blocker. He kicks out that outside backer. Boom, you get the first down. Small things, guys, small things. That's what wins football games. That's how you end games, all right?
Did I say Asia Wilson was the best player in the game?
You said that like a month ago.
I love them all, Roddy. Like Nicholas Singleton has been balling out there today.
In a different way than the score.
Hand off to Katron Allen, and he's going to pick up another first down.
Travis Hunter.
You're being nice about the way he expressed himself. Allen hands it off. Allen still on his feet. And
I gotta pause that one. I gotta pause that one. I don't know how to fast forward through video and all that, so you're gonna have to watch all of them again. But I have got to show that one again. All right, because this one was hard. It's going to be hard for you guys to understand this. I'm going to break it all down for you. All right, the play was meant to go to the right. All right, it's called like a zone option play, zone formation, or not zone formation, but pretty much a zone read type of play. The play is meant to go for the right, but you give the running back the option of bouncing it wherever he sees the hole. So he's patient, he's square, and he's going to pretty much cut it to wherever he sees an opening. So it's meant to go to the right. He doesn't see anything on the right, so he starts looking left. And because Tyler Warren is continuing to block down and push his guy all the way down, he basically pancakes the guy. The running back sees the opening, he cuts it all the way left, and he ends up with a big game, which pretty much sealed it. All right.
Did I say Asia Wilson was the best player in the game?
You said that like a month ago.
I love them all, Roddy. Nicholas Singleton has been balling out there today.
In a different way than the score.
Hand off to Katron Allen, and he's going to pick up another first down.
Travis Hunter.
You're being nice about the way he expressed himself. Allen hands it off. Allen still on his feet. And bowls over a would-be tackler down to the 36. Alongside Roddy Jones, Quint Kesnick, Tom Luganville down in the field. This is Katron Allen. Looking at second and goal. They're going to smash it straight ahead. Touchdown, Allen.
Listen, you saw a guy that went from being a slot receiver, he's blocking safeties, he's kicking corners out, he's blocking in space. Then you saw him go to the wing, and he's motioning in and ended up being the lead blocker and kicking out linebackers, kicking out defensive end guys. And then that last one that just got him in the end zone, he was the actual fullback, and they just ran power right in to finish off the game, right behind him. Every single one of those run plays, they were running behind 44. Right? You cannot sit here and tell me that neither Travis Hunter, Ashton Gentry, Dylan Gabriel, or the other one, Cam Ward, all four of these finalists, or even number 5 and 6, I think they were other quarterbacks, none of them can do this. None of them can do that. And it's important that you understand that. It's important that you understand that as I transition back to what today's actual topic is, which is home field advantage. You have got to use what you actually have an advantage of. And that's how you win. That's how you actually win, whether we're talking football or we're talking business. So before I really make the transition, I want to make sure I'm clear when I give you guys the definition, or I'm going to give you a definition for clarity, or make sure we define the two for clarity. All right. There's a huge difference between having a home and building a house. All right. This is another one of these topics that you can go and pull up my name and look me up and look up some videos or an article that I've written about this in the past. There's a difference between a home and a house. All right. Having a house is more of a transactional thing. All right. Having a house, you pay for a house, and you just do whatever in it. You don't really build relationships. It's just a house. Having a home field advantage, like what we're talking about today, having a home is more of a relational thing. It's a relational thing, and building the relationships that you need to be building, that's what's going to lead to you understanding what you're good at, what exactly you can use as an advantage, and then when you know what your advantage is, to really lean into it. All right, the culture. If we even want to go back to how Michigan beat Ohio State, it was the fact that they leaned into what their strengths were. Their strengths were that D line, that front seven. They're making it so Ohio State wasn't able to, go and launch these fly routes or these post routes and, beat them on the perimeter. If they were going to beat them, they were going to have to beat them up front on the line. And they weren't able to do that. That's what I mean when I say home field advantage. So when we transition this into your business, when we transition this into your organization, when we transition this into how you want your organization to grow, and how you want to, or the places and the ways in which you should plant your flag as a business owner, You have to know these things. You have to be very, very clear on what your strengths are. Say it again nice and clear. All right, so you understand me. You have to be very clear on what your strengths are. What are your strengths going to be? What exactly are you going to provide the world, provide your customers, provide your clients, provide whoever it is willing to pay and buy money for your stuff? What are you going to provide for them that they cannot get anywhere else? You hear me say it every single time I turn on this camera, every single time I record a video, every single time I have an opportunity to explain to you guys. I played the game of football, played the game of college football, and I learned my teamwork lessons through the game. So I know my strengths are being able to teach lessons in teamwork. I knew that that's how I'm able to provide the material for you guys to listen to. The question now becomes what would be home base for you? What would be the thing for you to say, this is what I know I have background knowledge in, and I could provide my people or provide anybody with something that they're not going to get anywhere else. There's just a certain uniqueness that every single person has in them that it's up to you to figure out. And this is work. This is actually the work. The job is not to, when we're talking about the differences between house and home, or when we see what happened this weekend, we saw 4 teams in Notre Dame that has a lot of tradition. And this was the first time ever. All right, this is the 12-team playoffs, the first time that the college football is ever doing this, ever trying this. The first time that they've ever had home college football playoff games. And who's the first game we see? This stuff you can't make this stuff up, folks. You can't. This is the first time that we've ever seen a college football playoff home games, like actual home games in playoff atmospheres. And who is the first game? Who kicks it off? The damn Fighting Irish, the most historic football program in the country. You think that was you think that wasn't something that the people, the marketing folks, and the folks that are paid to create stories and create whether it's storylines or create interest and all that stuff, you think that wasn't something that they thought of to say, this is college football. This is the first time college football is going to have home playoff games. Why would we not put the first one on a Friday night of all nights? Oh, God. A Friday night, too? You know that feeling of being Friday night football, Friday night lights, high school football. We under the lights, and we are in Notre Dame, boy. That is different. And I felt it. Like, I'm watching the game from Florida, at a sports bar in Florida, and I'm feeling the energy all the way through from South Bend all the way to Florida. You felt it. You felt the difference in terms of the atmosphere. You felt the kind of the ambiance. You felt everything. You felt like Rudy was there and Joe Montana and all them Lou Holtz, all them old school cats that really built the sport into what it is today. That's what a home is like. And speaking of Notre Dame, and I'll give you another one just so you guys understand the advantages and how it works, is I remember actually one year, this is back when I was in high school, when Reggie Bush was playing for USC. This was the year where Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart, and if I'm not mistaken, it was actually Reggie Bush's Heisman year, the Heisman year, where the USC came to Notre Dame and they didn't cut the grass. They didn't cut the grass. They did not cut the damn grass at Notre Dame because that's how they wanted to play in that swamp, and they made it hard for everybody, and they turned it into a slugfest. And this was the game in which the Bush push, they only won because Reggie Bush, pushed Matt Leinart into the end zone at the end and all that kind of stuff. So, when it comes to that home field advantage, you're not getting a bet outside of, and might be a little biased when I say this, but outside of the big house, the Michigan, big house, but you're not getting a better just presence of college football, an element of what college football is all about, than the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So that kicks off the first game, right? That kicks off the first one, boom, right there at you. And I'm saying all this because as a business owner, whenever you're faced with a new situation, again, this is a new situation for everybody that's involved with college football. This is a brand new, hey, I don't know how the 12-team playoff is going to shake out. I don't know who's going to like it. I don't know what changes are going to need to be made. We are really in the beta phase. We're really in the testing phase. I believe, like I was mentioning earlier, they're going to have to obviously do something when you have performances like we saw with Clemson and SMU. They're going to have to do something with the ACC, because that you just can't have these kinds of blowouts. You're going to have to do something with Indiana. I get they had a great season, but you can't have that. You can't have that kind of showing being in the playoffs and expect that it's gonna be that you're gonna just be back without some level of scrutiny, because hey, there are teams now that were watching that and say, look, we could have beat Notre Dame. I'm sure the Alabama faithful, I'm sure there's a lot of folks in there, see Ole Miss, a lot of them folks that are saying to themselves that were watching that Notre Dame game and saying, look, we could have done we could have went on national TV in the playoffs and got our ass kicked like that. I'm sure there's a lot of that being said, but at the end of the day, you can't be mad at Notre Dame. All right, that's the business, right? Use your advantage. And I remember actually this is back when the BCS was a thing, that Notre Dame, because they were independent, as long as they won. I had a coach back, by the way, shout out to Coach Sarr if you're listening, but he's a big Notre Dame fan, and he looked it up. I remember him looking it up when I was in high school. As long as Notre Dame wins a certain amount of games, they automatically get bids. There's certain favors, there's certain things that Notre Dame gets because they're Notre Dame. And again, I'm not saying that to complain or to make it feel or make you think that Notre Dame should feel guilty about what's going on. No, that shouldn't be the case. What you need to be doing, what you need to be looking at and say, okay, Notre Dame has the advantage of we are college football. We are the thing that represent. We're like one of the pillars of the actual brand of college football in itself. How do I keep using that to my advantage, bro? How do I keep using it? How do I keep using the presence of what I'm about? And it's the same thing with you in business. Let's say you're a business owner let's say you run actually, I'll give you a perfect example, because this just happened to me this past Saturday. I went to this bagel shop. Brandon, it's Parkland, because I was in Parkland. I was in Parkland, Florida. So this is closer to like Boca, Florida area. And I stopped at this bagel shop to get some breakfast. And this was the first time I've ever tried this place. All right. And you could tell it wasn't a franchise. It wasn't anything that was, corporate. This was like local people, local bagel shops, and local bagel shop. This wasn't anything that their plan wasn't to build anymore. When you walked in, it was family owned. The person greeted me, "Hey man, what do you like to eat? What kind of bagels you like?" And I remember getting the bagel. It was a veggie egg sandwich, and I ordered the bagel, and they had the setup and all that. So anyway, I go and I pay for the bagel, and the lady's like, "Look, do you want a drink with it?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm good." But she's like, "You get a free one, right? And every time you come in at this time and this time, you get a free this and a free that." And she didn't have to do it. She could have just took my money and left it alone. But she made it a point. She made it a point to explain to me the first time I've ever been in the place, "Hey, this is how we do things here. If you're ever in this area at this time, this is what we're all about. This is what we do at this particular time from Monday to Friday." All of that information. That is using the home field advantage. They know they're the only location. They don't have to worry about competition with some corporate location like a Panera or a Einstein Bagel or whatever corporate location you want to name. They know they're the only location, and if they get a certain amount of people, they get a certain number, they're just going to keep using it to their advantage. That's what you can build. That's what you can have if you use it to your advantage, if you use those sorts of advantages. The quality of the food is better. Again, I tried Einstein Bagels and I tried this place. I'll take that place, Parkland Bagels, over that every single day of the week. How exactly are you going to use your advantage? All right. That's what Notre Dame was able to do. Obviously, I think they were the better team and all that. But then you get the next one, which I pretty much showed you already when it comes to Penn State and SMU. Easily just the more physically dominating team, and they just simply used it. Just run the ball. We don't have to go and throw the ball 50 times a game. We could just simply beat them by running, playing solid defense, and making their quarterback rattle. That's pretty much all they did. Texas, the same thing. And then what we saw with Ohio State, the biggest difference was they were able to get off those huge, humongous, electrifying plays early. And, obviously Tennessee just wasn't able to bounce back from that. So That's it. That's all I have for you guys for today, man. And as you embark on this, and I actually know I'll close you out with just this principle and this concept is as we embark on a brand new year, brand new, holiday season, and everyone's putting their resolutions and their goals together, and this is what I'm gonna be for this year, this is what I'm gonna be doing for next year, and all that kind of stuff. Everybody has that list. I'm a former fitness guy, worked in the fitness industry for a long, long time, and I heard it every single year. I'm gonna be in shape this year. By the time February came, not even February for some of them, by the time early or late January came, they stopped coming to the gym. All right. When you start thinking about how you're going to make a difference or how you're going to shine this year, start leaning in to where you have your advantage. Take a lesson from the game, learn from the game. This is serious stuff now. All right. Lean into where you have your advantage. Think about it. This is important because when you lean into where you have your advantage, it is 1,000% more like you will not give up on it. You will not quit on whatever it is you're trying to do. Again, for me, you would be completely shocked. You would not even believe the kind of man I was maybe 2 years ago. Not even, I didn't know how to use live stream. I didn't know how podcast, all that stuff. I didn't really know how to do. And if you knew me in high school, you'd be like, there's no way Aswan is a public speaker now. If you look him up, he's speaking on this topic. He's able to talk to this. He has this guest. In fact, it's in about an hour from here. I got another great guest that's going to be coming on the show. You would never have associated public speaker with Aswan if you knew me coming up, if you knew me in high school, if you knew me in college. You would have never associated that. However, I leaned into what I had my advantage in. What my advantage was, I had unbelievable coaches. I mean, legendary football coaches, legendary dudes. I played for some unbelievable, legendary football programs. I had an opportunity, had the advantage of working at a gym with legendary trainers, personal trainers that were able to build their business through the gym. I spent time as a college scout where I learned from other sports and how they work together. My father has run his own business for years. My mother was, moved up in the transportation industry from driving ride-on buses to now, she's running transportation for the post office. My sister has had a job from when she was 14 years old to now. She used to leave her job to pick me up and we'd walk home together from school. She'd give me all sorts of lessons and work-related stuff. So I was surrounded with an advantage that I had a lot of things around me that created the public figure that you see now, created the man that you see now. And I just learned to lean into those advantages every single day as I break certain things down, I break certain topics. And when it comes to the thing I'm very passionate about, which is football, which is sports, and teaching business owners how to learn, how to take something from the game, even though the game was a quote unquote blowout, these 4 games were blowouts, there's still so much that you can take away. And as far as what we're going to be learning, and this is why I never run out of content. This is why I never run out of things to say. I've been asked that multiple times. It's like, Aswan, are you ever going to be able to run out of things to say? It's like, hell no. There's no way. There's so much, because it's life. The parallels between what I talk about, where I get my information, between where I get my information and the people I want to teach and what they actually need, it's running in the same direction. I've just taken the role of pulling it all together. Here's what the business owner goes through. Here's what the person who's trying to build a solid football program goes through. Here's what that coach who's trying to build a solid football program goes through. Here's what this business owner goes through. This is just what I lived. I lived it. Again, my dad's running his own business for years. I was dedicated to the game of football. I was just seeing both sides. This is what my dad's trying to do. This is what my coach is trying to do. And we see these same principles come up over and over and over again. This is what home field advantage is all about, folks. That's the element. That's the concept. So lesson for the day, lesson for pretty much as we go into this new year, since this is going to be the last live stream that I do for 2024, is lean into your advantages. What's your advantage? How are you going to use your advantage this year? How are you going to use it? And keep leaning into it, keep understanding it, leaning into it. And then all of the other things are going to start to happen for you when you start leaning into what gives you the advantage over an opponent, what gives you the advantage over some competitors, what gives you the advantage in life. Go into that and then just keep moving forward. Be proud of it. Don't be apologetic about it, though. That's the important thing. Don't be apologetic about the things that are giving you your advantage. Don't at all be apologetic about it. Learn how to accept it, and then just keep on moving and keep on moving and keep on moving. So all that being said, main website to check out to dive deeper into all my work, it's makeyourmove.com. That's MakeYaMove.com. Do not forget, tap into the Patreon link. It's patreon.com. Let me get it up and pull it up for you real quick. It's right here, patreon.com/as144. Everyone out there, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon. We'll talk more soon.